The story of House Stark begins around 8,000 years before conquest, during the Age of Heroes, and long before the arrival of the Targaryens or even the Andals. It all starts with the pivotal figure of Brandon Stark, known to history as Bran the Builder, whose actions would establish the most enduring dynasty in Westerosi history. Bran the Builder is credited with raising Winterfell, the ancient castle that served as the seat of House Stark for thousands of years. According to legend, he was aided in this task by giants who helped move the massive stone blocks. But his greatest achievement came following the Long Night, also known as the War for the Dawn, when the White Walkers first threatened the world of men. Bran is credited with raising the Wall, a massive fortification of ice stretching 300 miles across the northern border. He is also credited with forming the Night's Watch around the same time, to guard the wall and defend the realms of men. This feat would cement his family's role as protectors of the North for millennia to come. His descendants became the Kings of Winter, ruling the North from Winterfell, with the direwolf as their sigil and winter is coming as their words. According to Wildling Song, Brandon the Daughterless was the ruler of Winterfell several generations later when Bael, a famed raider and singer from beyond the wall, slipped into the castle in disguise and carried off Brandon's only daughter. Nearly a year later, she was found hidden in the crypts with a child said to be Bael's son, who supposedly became the next Stark Lord. This, however, sits firmly in the realm of legend, not history. Even the time frame is unclear. The tale contains details that seem to place it after the Targaryen conquest, while other elements feel far older. The next confirmed King of Winter was Brandon Stark, known as Brandon the Breaker. During the Age of Heroes, the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, a figure called the Night's King, betrayed his vows and ruled from the Night Fort with a mysterious corpse queen for 13 years, enslaving the Night's Watch and committing terrible atrocities. Brandon the Breaker, then king in the north, allied with an unlikely partner, Joramun, the king beyond the wall, to march on the Night Fort and bring down the Night's King. Together they freed the Night's Watch from his dark reign. After the victory, all records of the Night's King were destroyed and his very name was forbidden, erased from history. Some legends claim the Night's King was Brandon the Breaker's own brother, though this remains unconfirmed. Several generations later, the kingdom faced a different threat. Sea raiders, possibly early Andals, Valyrians, or Ibonese, landed on the eastern coast and began pillaging along the White Knife River. King Jon Stark drove these raiders out and, determined to prevent future attacks, built a formidable castle at the mouth of the White Knife. This fortress, called the Wolf's Den, would guard the river approach for thousands of years. The Wolf's Den was often granted to younger sons, brothers, and cousins of House Stark, and several cadet branches of the family held it over the centuries, most notably House Greystark, which ruled from the castle until they rebelled against Winterfell and were extinguished. Jon's son Rickard succeeded him. Known as the Laughing Wolf for his good nature, King Rickard defeated the Marsh King who ruled the Neck and married the Marsh King's daughter, bringing the swamplands under Stark control and placing them under the lordship of House Reed, a bond that endures to this day. The next legendary King of Winter was Theon Stark, known as the Hungry Wolf. During the Andal invasions that swept across southern Westeros, Theon waged a fierce campaign to defend the north from the foreign raiders. After defeating the Andal warlord Argos Sevenstar at the Battle of the Weeping Water, Theon carried the fight across the Narrow Sea, sailing with Argos's corpse mounted as a figurehead on his ship. After burning Andal villages in revenge, he mounted the heads of his enemies along the northern coast as a warning to future invaders. The Hungry Wolf solidified Winterfell's dominance of the north for generations to come. The next major threat to that dominance came during the long reign of King Eddard Snowbeard Stark, who ruled for nearly a century, after slavers from the Stepstones captured the Wolf's Den. When winter eventually descended and the White Knife froze solid, trapping the slaver ships in ice, King Brandon Stark, called Ice Eyes and Eddard's great-grandson, attacked. Brandon freed the enslaved Northmen and allowed them to hang the slavers' entrails in the trees as offerings to the old gods. And if you're enjoying the video, please give us a like. The next notable King of Winter was Brandon the Shipwright, who built a great northern fleet and voyaged west across the Sunset Sea in search of new lands. Tragically, the shipwright never returned from his voyage, and his son Brandon the Burner earned his epithet by destroying the entire fleet in grief, ensuring the North would never again become a major sea power. Despite that handicap, King Roderick Stark did manage to reclaim Bear Island from the Ironborn many generations later, though he did so in a wrestling match rather than a naval battle. He granted the island to House Mormont, who have held it ever since. Roderick's descendants battled the Ironborn for generations over Cape Kraken and other coastal territories. Over the centuries, the Starks defeated or absorbed dozens of northern clans and houses, the Flints, Umbers, Reeds, and many others, gradually unifying the vast and often rebellious north under a single banner. By the time Aegon the Conqueror arrived with his dragons, the Starks had ruled as kings of winter for over 8,000 years. The last of the Stark monarchs was Torrhen Stark, known as the King Who Knelt. In the year 1 AC, Torrhen marched south with an army of 30,000 men to face Aegon the Conqueror. But upon seeing the devastation wrought by Aegon's dragons at the Field of Fire, where thousands of men were incinerated in minutes, Torrhen made a fateful decision. Rather than lead his army to certain death, he bent the knee and swore fealty to Aegon. This act of pragmatism saved countless northern lives but cost the Starks their crown. To seal the peace, Torrhen's own daughter was married to Lord Ronald Arryn of the Vale, an arrangement facilitated by the Targaryens to bind the great houses together. The North kept its laws, its lands, and most importantly, its people. Torrhen became the first Warden of the North and Lord of Winterfell, titles his descendants would hold for 3 centuries. Torrhen's descendants continued to lead House Stark as Lords of Winterfell throughout the Targaryen era. His immediate successor was Brandon the Boisterous, believed to be Torrhen's son, though this is not confirmed by the Maesters. Brandon helped establish the protocols for relations between the North and the Iron Throne. Their tense but peaceful arrangement continued under the lordships of Roderick, Brandon the Boastful, and Brandon's son, Walton. By around 58 AC, Walton's brother Lord Alaric Stark ruled Winterfell, and proved himself a blunt but honorable host when Queen Alysanne Targaryen visited the north on her dragon Silverwing. He did not flatter her, but he did respect her authority as queen. This helped establish the mutual respect that would characterize relations between Winterfell and the crown for generations. His strong leadership earned him the trust of both his northern bannermen and the southern monarchy. By the Dance of the Dragons, 129 to 131 AC, the Starks were led by Lord Cregan Stark, one of the most formidable northern lords in history. Cregan was a powerful warrior and steadfast supporter of Rhaenyra Targaryen's claim to the throne. When civil war erupted, Cregan assembled a massive army, nicknamed the Winter Wolves, to march south. His force arrived too late to save Rhaenyra, but not too late for him to dispense justice as Hand of the King during the Hour of the Wolf, where he punished those responsible for the worst crimes of the war. Cregan Stark's death disrupted the orderly line of succession. After his eldest son Rickard died around 161 AC in battle beyond the wall during Daeron I's conquest of Dorne, Cregan's second son, Jonnel, born to third wife Lynara, inherited Winterfell and married his half-niece Sansa Stark to keep power consolidated. Jonnel died without sons, so Cregan's fourth son, Barthagen Stark, called Barth Blacksword, became Lord next. Barthagen was killed during a Skagosi rebellion in the late 100s AC. Another brother, Lord Brandon Stark, then took over. His son, Rodwell Stark, succeeded him. When Rodwell died childless around 210 AC, the title passed to his younger brother Baron Stark. Lord Beron had a large family, 7 children with his wife Laura Royce, sons Donner, Willam, Ardos, Errold, and Roderick, and daughters Berena and Alysanne. Beron also had a bastard half-brother, Lonnel Snow, known as Lonny, from his father Brandon's liaison with Willam of the crannogman. Beron played an important role navigating the complex politics of the Great Spring Sickness and other events of his era. After Beron died around 220 AC, his eldest son, Donner Stark, became Lord of Winterfell. Donner's reign was relatively short, and the lordship passed to his brother, Willam Stark. Lord Willam is remembered for his heroic death in 226 AC, fighting beyond the wall during a massive wildling invasion. Willam led his forces into battle and fell defending the realm, demonstrating the Stark commitment to protecting the North. Willam's younger brother, Artos, earned fame in that war as Artos the Implacable. After Willam's death, Artos rallied the northern forces and drove the wildlings back beyond the wall. Willam's son, Lord Edwyle Stark, head of House Stark during the Mid-Targaryen era, maintained the family's position as Wardens of the North. Edwyle married Lady Marna Locke, and their union produced just one child, their son Rickard. Lord Rickard Stark, born around 238 AC, was the father of the Stark siblings we meet at the start of A Song of Ice and Fire. He married his cousin Lady Lyanna Stark, the daughter of Roderick Stark and Arya Flint. Together they had 4 children, Brandon, Eddard, Lyanna, and Benjen. Lyanna had an older sister, Branda Stark, who was married into House Rogers of the Stormlands, a betrothal strengthening ties between the North and the Southern kingdoms. A tall, stern man, Rickard sought to further House Stark's Southron ambitions through marriage, and in 281 AC he arranged crucial betrothals. His eldest son Brandon was betrothed to Catelyn Tully of Riverrun, binding House Stark to the Riverlands. His daughter Lyanna was betrothed to Robert Baratheon, creating an alliance with the Stormlands. But tragedy struck in 282 AC. When news reached Winterfell that Prince Rhaegar Targaryen had allegedly abducted Lyanna, Brandon, known as the Wild Wolf, rode immediately to King's Landing and rashly demanded Rhaegar come out and die. The Mad King Aerys seized Brandon on charges of treason and summoned Lord Rickard to answer for his son. What awaited Rickard was a nightmare. Aerys accused him of plotting against the crown. When Rickard demanded trial by combat, the Mad King named fire as his champion. Aerys had Rickard suspended in his armor while wildfire burned beneath him, roasting him alive. Brandon was brought out with a strangling device around his neck and a sword just out of reach. As his father screamed, Brandon struggled toward the sword, but the device tightened as he moved, strangling him. Father and son died together, each witnessing the other's death. Brandon was only 20 years old. Was this the most horrific death in Game of Thrones? Let us know what you think in the comments. This atrocity sparked Robert's rebellion. Eddard Stark, Rickard's second son, had been fostered at the Eyrie with Robert Baratheon. When Aerys demanded their execution, Jon Arryn refused and raised his banners in revolt. Eddard Stark, known as Ned, became Lord of Winterfell in 282 AC, aged just 19. During the rebellion, Ned married Catelyn Tully, taking on Brandon's betrothal, which secured the Riverlands. The war ended in 283 AC with Robert slaying Rhaegar at the Trident and Jaime Lannister killing Aerys. But Ned's victory was bittersweet. He found his sister Lyanna dying at the Tower of Joy from childbirth complications. Lyanna made Ned promise to protect her newborn son, fathered by Rhaegar. To save the infant from Robert, Ned claimed the boy as his bastard and named him Jon Snow. For 17 years, Ned ruled the North with honor. He and Catelyn had 5 children: Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, and Rickon. Ned raised Jon alongside his true-born children, never revealing his true parentage. In 298 AC, King Robert named Ned Hand of the King. On arriving in King's Landing, Ned discovered that Robert's children were actually fathered by Cersei's twin brother Jaime. After Robert's suspicious death, Ned was betrayed and arrested. Despite agreeing to take the black, the boy king Joffrey ordered Lord Eddard Stark beheaded at the Great Sept of Baelor in 299 AC. Ned died at age 35, and his execution ignited the War of the Five Kings. Catelyn Stark, born Catelyn Tully in 264 AC, had been originally betrothed to Brandon. After his death, she married Eddard. Though their marriage began as political necessity, they grew to love each other deeply. She bore Ned 5 children, though she could never forgive him for apparently fathering Jon Snow. After Ned's execution, Catelyn served as an advisor to their son Robb during the war. She died at the Red Wedding in 299 AC when the Freys and Boltons betrayed Robb. Robb Stark, born in 283 AC, was Ned and Catelyn's firstborn son. He grew up alongside Jon Snow, as close as true brothers. After Ned's execution, Robb's bannermen proclaimed him King in the North in 299 AC. As King in the North, Robb proved a brilliant military commander. His direwolf Grey Wind fought beside him, and he never lost a battle against the Lannisters. He earned the nickname the Young Wolf. To secure the Stark-Frey alliance, Robb pledged to marry a daughter of House Frey. However, he broke this promise to marry for love. A Westerling in the books, Talisa Maegor in the show. This decision proved fatal. At the wedding of Rosalind Frey and Edmure Tully, House Frey had its revenge. Robb was betrayed and murdered, along with most of the Northern Army. He died at age 16, his reign lasting less than a year. Sansa Stark, born in 286 AC, is Ned and Catelyn's eldest daughter. She inherited her mother's Tully beauty with auburn hair and blue eyes. At age 11, she traveled to King's Landing, betrothed to Prince Joffrey. After her father's execution, Sansa endured years as a political hostage, married first to Tyrion Lannister, then later to Ramsay Bolton in the show. She eventually reunited with Jon Snow and played a crucial role in retaking Winterfell. In the show's finale, Sansa was crowned Queen in the North, ruling an independent kingdom from Winterfell. And if you're enjoying the video, we've got plenty more deep dives into the other great houses of Westeros on the way. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Arya Stark, born in 289 AC, was Ned's younger daughter. Unlike Sansa, Arya was a fierce tomboy with dark Stark features who preferred swords to needlework. After her father's death, Arya spent years wandering war-torn Westeros before making her way to Braavos. There she trained with the Faceless Men, a guild of assassins, learning to change her appearance and kill without detection. She returned to Westeros and eliminated House Frey in vengeance for the Red Wedding. During the Battle of Winterfell, Arya killed the Night King, saving humanity from the army of the dead. In the finale, she chose to sail west of Westeros, exploring beyond the known world. Bran Stark, born in 290 AC, is Ned's second son. As a boy, Bran loved climbing and dreamed of knighthood. But at age 7, he witnessed an incestuous encounter between Cersei and Jaime Lannister, and was pushed from a tower by Jaime, leaving him paralyzed. Bran discovered he possessed green sight, the ability to see across time and warg into animals. He journeyed north of the Wall and became the Three-Eyed Raven, inheriting ancient powers that made him a living repository of history and memory. Bran used his powers to reveal Jon Snow's true identity as Aegon Targaryen. In the show's finale, Bran was chosen as king of the Six Kingdoms, with the North independent under Sansa. Rickard Stark, born in 295 AC, was the youngest child. Only 3 years old when war began, Rickon went into hiding after Winterfell fell. In the show, he was later betrayed and killed by Ramsay Bolton during the Battle of the Bastards, aged 11. In the books, his fate remains unknown. And finally, we come to Jon Snow, also known as Aegon Targaryen. Raised as Ned Stark's bastard, Jon was actually the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, born in 283 AC. Rhaegar had married Lyanna in secret, making Jon legitimate and the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, though this revelation remained hidden for decades. Jon inherited the Stark look, with dark hair and gray eyes, and grew up closest to Robb and Arya. At age 14, Jon joined the Night's Watch, eventually becoming the 998th Lord Commander. He made the controversial decision to ally with the Wildlings against the White Walkers, leading to his assassination by his own men. The Red Priestess Melisandre resurrected him, and having fulfilled his vows through death, Jon was released from the Watch. Jon reunited with Sansa and retook Winterfell from the Boltons, and the Northern Lords proclaimed him king in the north. As king, Jon traveled to Dragonstone to form an alliance with Daenerys Targaryen against the Night King. They fell in love, without either realizing that Jon was Daenerys' nephew. The truth of Jon's parentage was eventually revealed through Bran's visions. Jon fought alongside Daenerys at Winterfell, defeating the Night King and his army. He even rode the dragon Rhaegal, his father's namesake. But after their victory, Daenerys descended into tyranny and burned King's Landing, killing hundreds of thousands. Torn between love and duty, Jon killed Daenerys to save the realm. He was once again exiled to the Night's Watch, and in the finale, Jon walked beyond the Wall with the Free Folk and his direwolf ghost. Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, the true heir, chose freedom over the throne, disappearing into the far north. So, from Bran the Builder all the way to Jon Snow, the Stark family tree spans over 8,000 years of northern history. From legendary builders and kings of winter to lords of Winterfell, from tragic heroes to queens and kings, House Stark endured winter after winter, surviving when so many other houses fell to war, betrayal, and time. As their ancient words remind us, winter is coming. And the Starks always remember. And remember to hit that subscribe button for all your Game of Thrones lore. Thanks for watching.